I was only 15 when I first heard whispers that my father, Mr. Williams, was planning to marry another woman. It came from our neighbor, Auntie Linda, who always had more gossip than sense. I was washing plates behind the house when she leaned over the low fence and said, "Kemi, you better ask your father who this woman in town is. People say she will soon be your new mummy." My hands froze in the soapy water. A second wife.
Why?
My mother, Mama Kemi, had been with my father for over 20 years. They had 3 children together, me, my younger brother Gabriel, and our little sister Beezy. That night, after dinner, I watched my parents. Mama was quiet, her eyes red as if she had been crying. Daddy was pretending to be busy with his phone. My heart beat fast. I wanted to ask, but I was scared. Finally, I whispered to Mama in the kitchen, "Mummy, is it true Daddy wants to marry someone else?" She looked at me for a long time, then sighed. "Kemi, there are things you don't understand yet. But yes, it is true." 2 weeks later, the truth came out. Daddy called all of us to the sitting room one Sunday evening. He cleared his throat and spoke in a voice that tried to sound calm but carried a heavy weight. "I know you've all heard things. I want to explain. I am not doing this to hurt your mother or any of you. I need someone who will give me another son." Mama's face turned pale. "Another son? Williams, you have a son. Gabriel is right there." Daddy shook his head slowly. "Gabriel is my son, yes. But you know what my people believe. One son is not enough to carry the family name. My parents have been pressuring me. They say I need more children, especially boys. And there are other things." Mama's voice trembled. "What other things?" He looked away. "We've had differences. I need peace in my home." The woman's name was Clara. She was younger, prettier, and very gentle when she visited. She smiled a lot, as if she wanted us to like her. But I could see the tension in Mama's eyes each time Clara came around. I overheard Mama telling her friend one day, "They say she's giving him everything I no longer give. Maybe it's food, maybe it's attention, maybe it's just youth." When Daddy finally married Clara, our home changed. Mama stopped laughing the way she used to. Gabriel became quiet, spending more time outside. I started avoiding Daddy. Clara tried to act nice, but the wound in our family was too deep. With time, I realized Daddy's reasons were not just about needing more children or peace. It was about choices, pride, and the influence of family pressure. And sometimes, those reasons, no matter how strong they sound, leave behind scars that never fully heal. Clara arrived with 2 suitcases and a shy smile. Daddy had painted the guest room for her, but Mama refused to help arrange it. "She can do it herself," Mama said sharply when Daddy asked. That evening, Clara cooked jollof rice. It tasted nice, but I refused to eat much. I noticed Daddy complimented her food 3 times, loud enough for Mama to hear. Mama just kept washing plates, her back stiff. It didn't take long before the first big fight happened. One Saturday morning, Clara mistakenly washed Daddy's clothes along with Mama's. Mama came into the sitting room holding one of Daddy's shirts and shouted, "Don't ever touch my husband's things again." Clara froze, tears welling up in her eyes. Daddy rushed in, took sides with Clara, and accused Mama of being too harsh. That night, the 2 of them argued behind closed doors, but the walls of our house carried every word. Our relatives began visiting more often, some to greet Clara, others to console Mama. Auntie Binta, Mama's sister, openly told me, "Don't respect that woman. She's not your mother." But Grandma, Daddy's mother, said to Gabriel, "This one will give us more boys. She's a blessing." It became clear, our family had split into 2 camps. Before Clara, Daddy used to spend most of his evenings in the living room, watching TV with us. Now, he spent them in Clara's room. He bought her new clothes, perfumes, and even a small car, while Mama's kitchen ceiling was still leaking. Mama didn't complain out loud, but I saw the way her eyes followed him each time he left for Clara's room. When Clara announced she was pregnant, the house exploded with activity. Daddy was overjoyed and bought crates of soft drinks to celebrate. Mama's face remained expressionless, but I saw her cry silently that night. Gabriel locked himself in his room for hours, and Beezy kept asking me, "Will Clara's baby be our sibling?" I didn't know how to answer. Mama began losing weight. She worked more hours at her shop, maybe to avoid staying home. She refused to eat food if Clara cooked it. One evening, she fainted while cooking. Daddy rushed her to the hospital but stayed only a short while before hurrying back to Clara. I sat by Mama's hospital bed and promised myself I would never let any man treat me the way Daddy treated her. In the market, people whispered as Mama passed. Some said she should fight for her place, others said she should leave. Mama ignored them, but I could see the shame in her eyes. Clara's pregnancy had become the main topic everywhere. Some called her lucky, others called her a homebreaker. Clara gave birth to a boy. Daddy nearly danced in the hospital corridor. He called everyone he knew, shouting, "Another son is here." He bought a cow and threw a big party. Mama refused to attend. I stayed with her at home, listening to the music and laughter coming from Clara's side of the compound. After the baby came, Daddy started spending even less time with us. Clara had more say in decisions, what Daddy bought for the house, which visitors he welcomed. Mama was told to reduce her spending, because there are more mouths to feed. I could see the humiliation eating her from the inside. Gabriel started coming home late. He joined some boys in the neighborhood who were known for gambling. Mama begged him to stop, but he shouted, "Why should I care about a house that doesn't care about me?" One day, Daddy caught him and beat him so hard I thought Gabriel would run away. One quiet night, after Daddy had gone to Clara's room, Mama called me into her bedroom. "Kemi," she said softly, "I can't stay like this forever. Your father has made his choice. I must make mine." My heart pounded. "What do you mean?" She looked at me with tired eyes. "I may have to leave for my peace." By the end of the week, Mama's decision to leave had somehow reached our extended family. Auntie Binta came over, furious. "So you want to hand over your home to that small girl? Over my dead body." But Mama stayed calm. "Auntie, peace is better than bitterness. If I stay, I might lose myself." One evening, Clara's baby was crying when Daddy came in to find Mama folding her clothes into a bag. "What's this nonsense?" he shouted. Mama faced him. "Williams, you've already made your choice. Now let me make mine." His voice shook with anger. "If you walk out, don't expect to come back." She simply said, "I won't." Gabriel burst into the room, yelling at Daddy, "You pushed her to this. You'll regret it." Daddy slapped him so hard that his lip bled. I stood frozen, watching my family tear apart like old cloth. Mama told us to go to our rooms while she continued packing. On a Friday morning, Mama left. She moved into a small apartment near her shop. Gabriel went with her immediately. Beezy and I stayed back with Daddy because of school, but our hearts followed Mama. The house felt colder, even with Clara and the baby around. Clara tried to be cheerful, but caring for a newborn while running a household wasn't easy. Daddy started snapping at her more often. She complained that he wasn't as loving as before. I noticed the sparkle in her eyes dimming. One night, I overheard Daddy on the phone with an old friend. "Things aren't how I thought they'd be," he confessed. "Peace is far from here." His voice sounded tired. I realized then that sometimes the thing you chase doesn't bring the happiness you imagined. Every weekend, I visited Mama. She looked healthier and even started laughing again. "Kemi, I sleep better now," she told me. Gabriel was also doing better. No more late nights or gambling. Binta begged Daddy to let her visit too, and eventually he agreed. Grandma visited and scolded Daddy. "You let your first wife leave? Shame on you. Clara is not like her. She won't endure half of what she did." Clara overheard and started crying. Daddy shouted at Grandma to stop meddling, but the damage was done. Clara began confiding in me. "Your father doesn't talk to me like before. I thought things would be better, but..." Her voice trailed off. I didn't know how to comfort her because part of me still blamed her for everything. A year later, Clara became pregnant again. Daddy wasn't as excited this time. He barely told anyone. When she gave birth to another boy, there was no big party, just a quiet naming ceremony. The joy in the house was gone. Mama's shop grew. She opened a second branch and hired workers. People started calling her Madam Williams again, even though she no longer lived with Daddy. Some said she was now happier without him. Gabriel refused to visit Daddy. Beezy spent more time with Mama. I stayed in the middle, moving between both homes, trying to keep the family from completely breaking apart. But the gap kept widening. One evening, Clara confronted Daddy. "You don't love me like before. You just wanted me for children." Daddy didn't deny it. He simply said, "You knew why I married you." That night, Clara locked herself in her room and refused to eat. Rumors began spreading that Clara was seeing another man. Daddy dismissed them at first, but when he heard it from 3 different people, he started coming home early to check on her. The trust between them began to crumble. One Sunday morning, Daddy and Clara's shouting woke the whole house. Daddy accused her of betrayal. Clara accused him of neglect. Beezy and I stayed in our rooms, listening to every word. The baby cried for hours that day. Just like Mama, Clara eventually left. She took both her children and moved to her parents' house. Daddy was left alone in the big house. For the first time, I saw him truly look broken. The house became silent. No Mama. No Clara. No children running around. Even the walls seemed to echo emptiness. Daddy started cooking for himself, something I had never seen before. One afternoon, Daddy went to see Mama. He came back quiet and withdrawn. Later he told me, "Your mother is stronger than I thought. She said she forgives me, but she's happy where she is." His eyes looked wet, though he didn't cry. Over time, Daddy admitted to me, "I thought marrying a second wife would solve my problems. I ended up losing more than I gained." His voice was full of regret. I realized some mistakes are so costly, they change a person forever. Years later, we learned to live as a different kind of family. Mama stayed independent, Clara raised her boys elsewhere, and Daddy remained alone. But we visited him, and sometimes, all of us, even Clara, sat at the same table during special occasions. The scars remained, but the fight stopped. And I carried one lesson in my heart. Peace in a home is more precious than pride, and some choices can never be undone. One evening, I got a call from Clara. It had been months since we last spoke. She said she was bringing her boys to see Daddy. They should know their father, she told me. I didn't know how Daddy would take it, but when I told him, he just nodded slowly and said, "Let them come." Clara arrived with the boys on a Saturday morning. The meeting was stiff at first. No hugs, no laughter, just polite greetings. But as the day went on, Daddy began showing them photo albums, telling stories from his youth. I saw a softness in his eyes that I hadn't seen in years. Clara didn't stay long, but before she left, she shook Daddy's hand and said, "For their sake, let's keep peace." 2 weeks later, Mama came to drop off some food for Beezy and me. To my shock, she agreed to sit in the living room when Daddy invited her in. They talked about school fees, Tun's new job, and even laughed once or twice. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was a step. One quiet night, Daddy called me into his room. His voice was low, almost trembling. "Kemi, I want you to tell your mother something. Tell her. I'm sorry. I should never have let her go. I thought I was chasing happiness, but I broke my own home." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Why not tell her yourself?" He shook his head. "Maybe one day." Years passed. Mama never moved back, and Clara never returned, but there was no more war. We visited Daddy regularly, and during festive seasons, Mama and Clara would both allow their children to spend time with him. The bitterness faded into a quiet acceptance. Daddy learned to cook his own meals and even help Beezy with her schoolwork. I realized families don't always look like the perfect picture we imagine. Sometimes they're patched together with broken pieces that still hold strong. And though my father's decision to marry a second wife changed our lives forever, it also taught me the value of peace, respect, and choosing love over pride.